Hey y'all, my name is Kayla and welcome to my cozy chaotic corner of the internet. So today's TBR video is going to be a little different than what we've done in the past. If you've been with me for at least, I would say, the past 5 months, we'll say, maybe 6, I have done a TBR bingo card to pick my monthly TBR list, and last month I did the TBR pickle jar just because I wanted to switch things up, get a little different energy. And this month I was planning on going back to the TBR bingo card, but I have a huge project for October, so my September TBR list is kind of dictated based on that project. So I will note, my September TBR list is massive, and I pulled a stack of books from that TBR that is just a fraction, a large fraction. It's not like a small fraction, but it is a fraction of my actual September list, because honestly, y'all, if I pulled every single book that is currently on my actual TBR, it would be astronomical. I decided to pull books from my actual list that I haven't already started reading. So with all of that noted, all of that aside, if you want to hang out with me, don't forget to grab a comfy, cozy coffee and maybe a fun little snack and maybe a fun little blanket. It's starting to get a little chilly out, at least here in Minnesota. It's starting to get chilly out. Once you have all your comfy little bits and bobs, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and let's check out September's TBR, shall we? So to kick things off, we have A Talent for Murder by Peter Swanson. Y'all, I have read this synopsis a few times, and let me just try and recall it from the dome piece. This is about a woman who marries a man, and into their marriage, she starts to question if he is potentially a serial killer. Next, we have West Heart Kill by Dan McCorman. Do I remember what it's about? Let's just read the synopsis together though, shall we? A remote old money hunting lodge, a raging storm, a locked room, 3 corpses discovered within 4 days, a cast of moneyed, scheming, unfaithful characters. You may think you've read this story, but think again. When Private Detective Adam McGannis joins an old college friend for the bicentennial weekend at the exclusive West Heart Club in upstate New York, he finds himself among a set of not entirely friendly strangers. Then, the body of one of the members is found at the lake's edge. Hours later, a major storm hits. By the time power is restored on Sunday, 2 more people will be dead. The elements of the classic murder mystery are all present in West Heart Kill, but it's the daring structure and mischievously subversive narration that set this debut apart. This is no ordinary whodunit, but an homage to the masters of the genre and a wholly original spin on the form. It's a sheer delight from start to finish. I love, if you guys are new here, I love a murder mystery whodunit. Like, thrillers, mysteries, they are my cup of tea. They are my bread and butter, and I think it's because I really like solving problems. I'm a big time problem solver, and mysteries and thrillers, at their core, they ask the reader to solve the problem, solve the crime with them. And it's just so fun, and I enjoy them so much. So anytime I just literally, the fact that it was like, the fact that the word whodunit was mentioned in this book, I'm just like, yes. I don't know if they still make them or if y'all have ever read them, but there are literal like books with like quick little whodunit stories in them, like really short stories. The concept of the book is that the reader is then supposed to try and solve the crime or solve the problem, and I think at the back of the book or something it tells you what the actual situation was. But those were my favorite kind of books to read as a child growing up, so that's why anytime something even like whispers the word whodunit, I'm like, yes, sold, done. On to the next one. We have Love Letters to a Serial Killer by Tasha Coriel, and this was on my summer new releases, so this is a newer release. Love Letters to a Serial Killer is about a woman who is just kind of like struggling with life. She recently broke up with her boyfriend. She's having a tough time at work. She can't like reach out to her ex and just kind of like tell him he was a dickhole. She can't really like, you know, vent her frustrations about work at work without the possibility of potentially getting fired. And there is a serial killer who was recently imprisoned, and he was going around offing a bunch of women. And for some reason, our main character decides that the best pen pal to have in the entire world is this serial killer. Life choices were made that day, and I don't necessarily think I would have made those life choices, but you know, to each their own. Next on the list, we have A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Fazal. This is a story about a woman who owns a tea house during the day, and at night her tea house becomes the place for a certain nocturnal creature to enjoy their libations. That is all. Also, before we move forward, if you couldn't tell, the light has been changing. It's because I'm currently in my living room. We're in a different space. I don't know. I saw Echo laying on the couch last night, and something about it just looks so comfy and cozy. And I was like, oh, I should film my TBR there tomorrow. And I decided not to bring out my light. So we're just literally working with like my entryway light and good old Mr. Sun. So if the lighting looks weird, it's because we're working with what we have on hand. Anyways, next up on the list, we have a certain kind, oh, this is not a certain kind of hunger. We have The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim, and this is the Evernight edition. Honestly, y'all, the more I look at the dust jacket, that's better. This one's definitely a lot creepier, but I don't know, I definitely prefer this more. My only complaint is that I wish it said the title on the spine. My favorite part, y'all, honestly, if I could take the sprayed edges and put it on just like the normal cover, that would make my life so happy. But look at those sprayed edges. Gorgeous, stunning, amazing. I love them so much. I feel like every time I pull up this book, I have to talk about like the art factor of it, because I mean, that's the whole point of these special editions, right? They're supposed to be special editions. And I don't know. I feel like Evernight had such a banger with their edition of the Invocations, and I loved it so much. I'm probably going to cancel my subscription, to be quite frank. Anyways, sorry, off on a tangent. So The Eyes Are the Best Part is about a woman whose father decides to leave his family to be with his mistress. So, you know, the family's just dealing with the fact that old Pa just like got up and left, you know? Uma's new boyfriend, George, comes into town. I mean, he's just kind of like a prick, kind of a douche canoe, kind of treats the daughters like they're below him. And our main character is just not about that life. And all of a sudden, she starts having these dreams of blue eyeballs. Very questionable dreams. And she decides that George needs to go. I'm very excited to read this book. I'm very excited. And honestly, this might be a little backwards, but if I really like this book, I might just buy the normal edition of this book, because the only thing I truly love about this book are the sprayed edges. We have T. Kingfisher's newest release, A Sorceress Comes to Call. And this is apparently a retelling of a fairy tale. What the fairy tale is, I don't know off the top of my dome piece, but pretty much the story is there is a young woman, a young girl, I should say, living with her mother. And her mother is kind of like not the greatest. It's giving Carrie vibes in the sense that the mom literally like will make the daughter just kind of like sit in a corner and be silent for hours, days on end. And One day, the mother and daughter move in with this couple, and the daughter actually starts to form like a really lovely relationship with the couple, but she knows that the reason they're living with these people is because the mom is gonna do something not so lovely to them, and she has to decide if she will, continue on her path with her mother or retaliate and save this couple. Next, we have Until I Get You by Caroline Contreras. And I'm not gonna lie, y'all, this apparently is like a hockey romance, but it's a dark romance. And I personally have never actually read a dark romance that I can think of. I don't think so. So I may or may not have purchased this book solely based on the cover. I don't know, something about the smoky text, just honestly, you give me a black cover with just a simple design on the front, and I'm 99.9% sold. Oh, it's a romantic suspense novel. That's cool. I didn't even see that little subtitle. Ooh, I feel like that's gonna be even better than like a dark romance. Okay. Okay, Claire. We'll see what you're all about. Next, we have Youth Juice by E.K. Satu, and this is the story of a woman who starts to work for a health and wellness company, and she's just kind of like, it's just a job, but it's getting her by in her New York life. She is given the opportunity to be kind of one of like the testers of this new product called Youth Juice, which is a delightfully supple moisturizer for the skin. And she's really enjoying it. But because she's a tester and because she works for this company, she finds out what the, secret ingredient is for Youth Juice. And she has some moral dilemmas with knowing what the secret ingredient is. So I guess we'll just have to read the book to find out what is in Youth Juice. Up next, we have Bury Your Gaze by Chuck Tingle. This is a story of a man who has been in the Hollywood zeitgeist for far too long, but y'all, he is about to get his laurels. He has been nominated for the Oscars, and life could not get better for him. However, unfortunately, the show he is in, they are saying, producers, production, the executives are saying, ya gays, you gotta get rid of them. And he is not about that life, doesn't want to partake in that decision, and things start to go awry as our character decides to rebel against the big cog and machine that is the Hollywood industry. Next, we have The Broken Girls by Simone St. James, and I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I don't know why I bought this book. I know why I bought this book. I was at Barnes & Noble, and I was working with one of the booksellers, and they had mentioned it. At the time, the only Simone St. James book I had read was the Book of Cold Cases, and I actually really liked the Book of Cold Cases up until I would say like the halfway to 2/3 point of the book, and then it started to get a little paranormal, and that's where like you just kind of lost me in that book. But at the time, I was like, well, let's try Broken Girls, see what that's about, see if I like it. As of right now, I have also read Murder Road by Simone St. James, and just go watch my video on it. I am slightly hesitant to read The Broken Girls, but I've owned it for a while now, and I figure, you know what, I may as well just read it. If I don't like it, worst case scenario, I just get rid of it. But if I do like it, hey, that's great. I will have found a Simone St. James book that I enjoy. Looks like it's duo timelines. So Vermont, 1950. There's a place for the girls whom no one wants, the troublemakers, the illegitimate, the too smart for their own good. It's called Idlewild Hall. The local legend says the boarding school is haunted. 4 roommates bond over their whispered fears, their budding friendship blossoming, until one of them mysteriously disappears. Vermont, 2014. 20 years ago, journalist Fiona Sheridan's elder sister's body was found in the overgrown fields near the ruins of Idlewild Hall. And although her sister's boyfriend was tried and convicted of the murder, Fiona can't help stop revisiting the events, unable to shake the feeling that something was never right about the case. When Fiona discovers that Idlewild Hall is being restored by an anonymous benefactor, she decides to write a story about it. But a shocking discovery during the renovations links the loss of her sister to secrets that were meant to stay hidden in the past, and a voice that won't be silenced. I'm hoping that this doesn't go down the paranormal route. We'll see. We'll see. It sounds interesting, but if there's ghosts involved, I don't know. Also, if you've read this book and you know if there's ghosts involved or not, please don't let me know. Don't spoil it for me. Let me just be disappointed on my own. Okay, next we have Love in the Time of Serial Killers by Alicia Thompson. This book is about a woman who is just, living her life. She loves a good true crime book, a true crime podcast. She's all about that life. She's one of the girls. She's one of the girlies, and she has a new neighbor, and she started to feel a little suspicious of him. She's like, "Sir, are you a serial killer?" Next, we have The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. Y'all, I purchased this book, I think at this point, 2 years ago. Haven't touched it, haven't read it. I know this book is a darling amongst the book reading community. And I just, I figured I should delve into it. There was one point where I was going to get rid of it because I was just kind of I don't necessarily know how I feel about reading old people solve crimes. Something about that just doesn't itch anything in my brain. But the way so many people have spoken to this book and the series, I'm just okay, let's give it a little test drive, see what it's all about. And worst case scenario, I hate it and I'm not committed to the rest of the series. Next, we have The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. To be quite frank, I may or may not have purchased this just based on the title. And the cover is pretty dope too. But literally the title is what sold me. I was just ooh, The Final Girl Support Group? Love that. A bunch of girls who have been the final girl. And if you don't know what a final girl is, the final girl is a term that's utilized in horror movies or horror books where somehow, it's always one of the females in the group that survives, and that's the person that's called the final girl. So it's a bunch of women who have survived horrifying things all in a support group. And a part of me is low-key hoping that all of them start getting killed off. So who is the final girl of the final girls? I don't know. That's what I'm hoping it's for. And I don't even want to read the back. This is kind of one of those books there's just some books you want to go in without knowing what they're about. That's this. Next, we have Monsters We Have Made by Lindsay Stark. Monsters We Have Made is about a girl who tried to kill her babysitter because the Kingman told her to. And if that sounds at all familiar, it's because I am presuming, I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming that it's lightly based on the girls in Wisconsin that I can't remember if they actually did kill their friend or they tried to kill their friend because the Slender Man told them to. From the synopsis on the back, it sounds like that was just kind of a blip in her life. And now as an adult, she's dealing with kind of the repercussions of that event in her youth. So very intrigued to see what Monsters We Have Made is all about. So many books in September. I went out of my way to purchase this neon pink UK edition of Bunny. Bunny by Mona Awad is the final book that I'm sharing with y'all today. And this is a story of a girl who's going to, I think, a prep school or a boarding school or one of those elite society schools. There's a group of girls at the school and they refer to themselves as the Bunnies. Oh my god. And this girl's kind of a little bit of an outcast, just kind of living her life, rolling her eyes at the bunnies. But then the bunnies set their sights on her and they offer for her to become a bunny. I don't know. Everyone on BookTube has talked about this book and seems to enjoy the book. I guess we gotta check her out and see what she's all about. And also this cover, oh my god. That is my TBR, that's what it is. That's my TBR. And again, there are so many more books on this month's TBR. It's kind of crazy. Am I gonna finish all of them? Probably not, but that's okay. That's okay. Anyways, y'all, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you have so much fun reading, and I will see y'all in the next one.